Okay, it's like sitting in an airplane, right? You got the front seat right there in your face. Good morning. It's the 19th of March, and this is a peculiar date. I know there's been some things that have happened on the 19th, particularly the 19th of next month. And that's when the Clintons did the Oklahoma City bombing along with the deep state. That's coming up next month. That's also when the shot heard around the world was fired up in Lexington. I believe that's the day of that. So the Oklahoma City bombing was a false flag event. It was done internally, and the FBI escorted, what was his name? I want to say Randy Strauss something or other. No, it wasn't. Rudolph Strauss. They escorted the fellow who actually did the bombing out through Canada to make sure he got safely back home to Germany. He was, I believe, a part of the Red Brigade, but don't hold me to it because these are rumors. And so I'm trying to get the information out there with the hopes that somebody will chime in and say, this is the guy's name, this is what happened. And it was 9 months after the bombing when the FBI escorted him safely out of the country. I believe that the fellow was the patsy. What was his name? I'll think of it during this video, no problem. But I didn't start this to talk about this stuff. I think that the FBI is never going to be corrected. It needs to go away. That's my personal opinion. It needs to be dissolved as being unconstitutional. And in its place, I advocate that we enlarge the scope of a sheriff's jurisdiction. And in particular, a sheriff has his jurisdiction over his county. I propose that we but we add to that, and we add to the sheriff's authority, the authority to investigate another sheriff in another county, in another jurisdiction, maybe even another state. I think one sheriff should be able to charge another sheriff with a crime. And I think that's probably about as far as it should go, because I think that, that way the sheriffs can be correcting each other. And I would have a lot more faith and confidence in that than I do in the current system, because all policies, all policing was reserved to the several states. Law enforcement is best done locally, not nationally, except you got to have national checks on authorities. I think that's what the central government should be doing, is defending our rights and going after the local states that are screwing our rights up. Like California, they should be raked over the coals, maybe even excommunicated. And New York, same thing, raked over the coals, maybe even kicked out of the Union, so we can make room for the Canadian provinces. Canada can't be the 51st state, but certainly their provinces each could be a state. And if we actually get the republic back, what I want, the way I want it, I think that everybody around the world is going to want to join the republic. But right now we have no respect, we have no law, no order, no constitution. We have a corruption through and through. And I could go on about that. But at this point, I want to tell you, well, this is kind of a life insurance policy for me. I've applied for a position. I'm not going to go into detail on that. I have to exercise some discretion for the sake of the employer. And in my application materials, while assembling those together, which I wish I had done sooner, but I've been waylaid with my coach and with the problems with it, I actually discovered the evidence that the 13th Amendment was fully ratified and implemented. The original 13th Amendment. So this video is going to be about that, and I want you to make this video go viral. Please share this particular video. Give it a thumbs up so that it rises above the algorithm. I'm still buried a bit. And another thing is I got 586 subscribers, noted up here anyway. I don't trust YouTube very much, to be honest, about anything. Anyway, I haven't been able to get above 585. I'm at 586, so welcome to the new people. And so we're going to, and usually I fly by the seat of my pants, I get a stream of consciousness going, and I'm dumping my information. If I've got wrong information, if it's questionable, if it's bad, if you don't like it, well, you can comment about it. If you know that I'm wrong, you could actually email me directly if it's something that you want to avoid, public discussion on and you want to have some discretion. I admire that, and that's proper. But if you really feel like you need to actually speak it out here publicly in the comments, that's okay. I've gotten some comments recently which I don't agree with, and I've gotten some comments which it's like, well, yeah, okay, I want to know more. So tell me more. And one of the popular videos that I put up was, the discovery of the Garden of Eden. I don't think we have that locked, by the way. I don't think that's a hands-down discovery. What I do know is we've hands-down found Sodom. We found Sodom. Yes, we did. I've got a video somewhere in storage on that, and I can't play that for you anyway because it's a copyright violation. But we found Sodom, and that's an important video for you to know because Sodom was destroyed with nukes, and Yahweh doesn't mess around, and that's what Yahweh will do to the United States, these United Stupid States of America. Put us out of our misery at this point because we've done so much havoc across the world, and we're still allowing ourselves to be controlled by this creepy enemy that's creeped in and has taken over all of our institutions. So I believe that the smallest government is going to be the most effective and best government for us. Now, mind you, the state governments can do more. The state governments are required to have a republic. That's what's guaranteed in the Constitution. And a lot of them don't have that. Actually, none of them have that right now. They're all corporate governments listed on Dun & Bradstreet. So we have to return to that. But I believe it's up to the individual states. Who votes? Who doesn't vote? Voting is a state's issue. Policing is a state's issue. Okay, and the formation of the FBI was done under the excuse of, we got those bootleggers that keep crossing the boundaries, and we can't go beyond that. We can't go chasing them from Chicago over into Indiana. That wouldn't be right. So I think that we can work this out. I think we really, truly can. But I think it's going to take a long time, and it should. It shouldn't be instant. It took the founders probably a decade to iron things out. So and we're so messed up. I don't care if it takes 1,000 years. Yeah, it's in the Bible. Go look it up. I'm looking forward to Pax Americana. But in order to do that, we have to restore the Republic. In order to restore the Republic, we have to go about this stepwise, and we have to come up with this main stuff. And so what I want to point out to you right now is part of this is my application packet, by the way. And I usually just write one sheet of paper. But I had to include this other stuff. Well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to because it's like I dumped my information when I realized I probably told too much, but I also wanted to make a good impression. So we're going to remove the last one. It's actually a letter to President Trump answering his questions about the spraying and autism. And the answer to his question was yes. He really just needs to ask me, and I'll tell him straight up the truth. And this one, we don't need to know. Oh, this one is about the biggest oil well in the world in Alaska that remains sealed, untapped. And once we retap that thing, all we do is build a little bit more of the pipeline to Alaska right to that well. We don't have to drill in Alaska any place else ever again because the pipeline has a limited capacity, and that well will keep the pipeline going actually in perpetuity because the earth generates oil all the time. It's a mineral and an insulator in the giant electromagnetic engine we are, the giant spacecraft that we are. So once they tap into that well and it's in the pipeline, there's enough oil in that if we could get it all out the pipeline, it'd last the country 300 years without anything else, without any other wells, without bringing anything else in. We'd have 3 centuries of oil right there. But the pipeline has a limitation of 20% of the capacity of what we consume daily, which means basically it's going to take 1,500 years to tap the oil that was in the well when they drilled it in about 1974. So that means the well is probably going to have enough time, so it just keeps on replenishing itself. So it's an unending supply of oil potentially. But this is my insurance policy, if you will, because I want to get this out there, because I realize that this might get me a bullet. You know, somebody might say, we can't have that out there. We can't have that information out there. So I'm going to get it out there on this video, and I pray that you will agree to endorse this video. Give it a thumbs up. I'd like to set a record on thumbs up for a change on my longer videos. And I would like to, I'd like to save the nation, my country, my people. And the most important thing that we do here is we awaken our brothers and sisters in Israel. That's the main goal. And here we go. We're getting into it. Trying to keep these in order because there's so many documents that I sent, and I meant to send 9 and I sent 10. So I sent something by mistake. I don't even want to, I'm not even going to take the time to go looking at it. I mean, if they want me, they want me. If they don't want me, they don't want me. And I don't want a desk job. I really don't want a desk job in D.C. And I know damn well they're going to want to sit my ass in Bethesda, probably at HHS. I've been there a little bit before, but so I'm going to read my my Gmail message from July 10th, 2023. This is addressed to greetings and salutations. I, having been born in a particular city many years ago, I write seeking a photo to get a real reliable copy of that copy of our nation's Constitution that was reported in the news. It was discovered while cleaning out the New Hampshire Capitol approximately 10 years ago. It was a significant find as it contained the original 13th Amendment, parenthetically 1812. That's the year it was fully passed. And I discovered the hard-written evidence of that. And that's why I want to get that out, because believe me, if I was the King of England and I found out they were onto my craft and onto my people, I'd send somebody after them. So please help me to protect my life by getting this particular video out there. New paragraph. I seek permission to visit the Capitol as I am here, having buried my aunt last week. Damn typo, I should proofread more, right? I want to review the document and somehow get a copy, a flash-free photo, and perhaps certification from the New Hampshire Secretary of State attesting to its wording and originality. At this moment, I am in such and such, inside New Hampshire. Please advise me. Feel free to call me on, and there's my cell number, which you can get as public as hell at this point. If I might answer any questions, until that time I hear from you, I remain humbly and respectfully yours. Sincerely, John Taylor Kent, Ph.D., piled high and deep, or post-hole digger. Here's the return, dated Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, from Ashley Miller. Hi, John. Here's the document I referenced on the phone. Please see the transcription attached as well. Thank you. New Hampshire State Archivist. Archives and Records Management, 9 Ratification Way. Woo, nice name. 9 Ratification Way. This is important. It took 9 states to ratify this amendment back then. And the address is 9 Ratification Way. Oh, forgive me, I want to cry. I just do. And it's not sadness, man. It's tears of joy. Concord, New Hampshire, 03301, and the phone number's there. And And her email address is there as well. Now I got to put this down and keep it in order. I don't have the desk setup that I'd like to have in here. Sure, I know I want a bigger motorhome than what I have, but I'm hard pressed to keep this one up, and I'm very blessed to have this. It's an unusual one of a kind, actually. And so here we have two attachments: the 13th Amendment, TONA, all capital letters, TONA, parenthetically, color, Journal of the House of Representatives, November term, 1812, pages 188 to 190, PDF. And that was attached. And then also attached was the 13th Amendment, TONA, TONA, all capital letters, transcription.doc. And what happened was that she sent me this thing, and I am going to show you well, I'm not going to show it to you. I really don't want to get that out there. I got to protect my information a little bit better, but this was the second page, so you can actually see it. Okay, there you go. Let's see, it's a little bit more. All right. Now, I can't read this. Maybe you can. And I've got, there's more to the record, and really somebody needs to go in there. I may go myself and copy the whole thing and get it apostilled and all that. But these are 3 pages in color. Journal of the House. This is the House of the State of New Hampshire, the organic state of New Hampshire, not this new corporate bastard that's around today. And hey, I'm not singling out New Hampshire. All the states are bastard governments today. They're all incorporated, just like the East India Company was a corporation. And here's the second page. Okay. And it says here, November session, 1812. And it has in pencil 129 at the 189. I think the page number there. And then here is, again, Journal of the House. And the penmanship is so stupid, ugly, perfect. It's really good handwriting, man. They were educated back then. I can't read it. I'll put it aside. Here's the other 2 pages that she typed out for me because people couldn't read things. And when I was applying, I discovered proof. The hard written proof that the state of Virginia voted for the 13th Amendment. And you see, according to Eustace Mullins, reading his work, I never did meet the gentleman, but the great citizen from the state of Virginia, he actually said that what he wrote was that the handwritten notes for the state of Virginia's legislative session, which shows that they voted for it, were taken by the British when they sacked. Well, they went into the White House, but they went into the records for the state of Virginia state legislature, and they took the notes and they took them to England, where they remain to the day he was writing anyway, and I'm sure they're there today, under lock and key. So we can't even look at our own paperwork. Remember the 4th Amendment, safe and secure in our papers. Well, the British have kept that under lock and key because the Bar Association, which is an esquire, which the 13th Amendment actually destroyed. I'll read it. You'll realize what it's about here. Anyway, the Bar Association, they were stripped of any and all citizenship by the real 13th Amendment. And not only that, they couldn't have any positions of emolument. And I still have trouble with that doggone word. So, give me a little bit of a moment here, and I'm gonna look the word up. Sorry for the closeness here, but emolument definition, emoluments clause, emolument, a meaning. I'm going to go for meaning. A salary, fee, or profit from employment or office. So in other words, it wasn't legal for them to hold office, elected office here. And the real 13th Amendment was overwritten, I can't remember the exact year, 1863 maybe. So I'll let me put this in here because we need to know this stuff. We do need to know this stuff. 13th Amendment, there we go. Because I've been talking about this in social media long enough, people are now starting to send my own stuff back to me. And the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude in the United States except as punishment for a crime. Was ratified on December 6, 1865. What I want you to know is that this covered up the fact that Abraham Lincoln wasn't in office properly. It wasn't lawful, legal. It wasn't constitutional for him to be in office because he was a Bar Association member, British Accreditation Regency. The king rules through his bar attorneys. And they're still putting us behind bars, basically. They're keeping us in prison. And of course, it didn't do away with slavery. The 14th Amendment actually enslaved us all. It changed us from being citizens of our states to citizens of the, federal government, which we're still not, actually. We're still citizens of our states. That's where you get your landed constitutional citizenship, is from your state, not from the federal government. And the 14th Amendment enslaved us all, and the purpose of the 14th Amendment was so that the South would not have equal representation based upon the number of Negroes present in the South. So they counted a Negro as only 3/10 of a man. And American Indians weren't counted at all. They weren't counted as human beings. I'm not happy with that. Give me a little bit of light here. Nice old-fashioned quartz halogen. I don't like the blue LED lights. I don't trust them. Fallen angelic technology. Blue screen that I'm looking into here. Blue screen on my computer. I got a LED headlights because but I don't know if they're safe or not for the other people. I got the natural, the LEDs that go natural, but I still don't know if they're safe. Here's from here, and you can see I highlighted Virginia right there. This is proof that the state of Virginia passed it. So it really is the law of the land. December 9th, 1812, Journal of the House, Report of Committee. The committee appointed to take into consideration certain laws and resolutions passed by the legislatures of Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and Vermont. Virginia's here. They already passed it. Here's your proof that it was ratified fully, properly, and it is the law of the land. And by the way, if you go according to my strategic intervention for reclaiming and saving our republic, our Jeffersonian republic, that is, not our Lincolnian republic, which is no republic at all, that hinges upon this. This is the fulcrum point in which we lever the whole thing into our favor. However, in order to do this, I still advocate you need to get a militia. Private militias the Constitution covers not just the militias of the several states, but also the militias that were private, because those guys were in remote areas, separated from the other militias. Like Ethan Allen and his Green Mountain Boys, or Green Mountain Men, I can't remember what to call them at this point, because you say boys and the black guys, and I say, oh boy, you're being racist again. Shit. That was a little private militia, if you will. So you can form a militia anywhere you want in the country, and it's protected by the Constitution. It's in there more times than what I'm aware of. My buddy Roger, he told me it's in there like at least 4 times, maybe 6 times. I told him it was in there twice. But so let's go again. The committee appointed to take into consideration certain laws and resolutions passed by the legislatures of Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Vermont. Oh, I skipped Virginia. Tennessee, Virginia, and Vermont. And other documents accompanying the same, reported the resolves exhibited, and further reported that it is, in their opinion, not expedient to adopt or approve the other proposed amendments to the Constitution of the United States. Accepted. Which report was accepted, whereas His Excellency the Governor of this state, New Hampshire, has laid before the General Court a resolution passed by the Congress of the United States in the words following, to wit, quote, resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States, America, in Congress assembled, 2/3 of both, page break, in parentheses, December 9th, 1812, November session, 1812. House is concurring that the following section be submitted to the legislatures of the several states, which, when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the states, 9 out of the 13, shall be valid and binding as part of the Constitution of the United States. Quote, if any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, or retain any title of nobility or honor, or shall, without the consent of Congress, accept and retain any present, pension, office, or emolument of any kind whatever from any emperor, king, prince, or foreign power, such person shall cease to be a citizen of the United States, and shall be incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them or either of them. Close quote. Therefore, resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives in general, convened, page break, December 9th, 1812, Journal of the House, New Hampshire, that the foregoing amendment proposed by Congress to the Constitution of the United States be, and the same is hereby, on the part of this state, agreed to, ratified, and confirmed, paragraph, and be it resolved that His Excellency the Governor be requested to transmit copies of the foregoing resolution to the President of the Senate and Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States, and to each of our senators and representatives in Congress, and to each of the governors of the several states, voted that Messrs. Petty, I. Shepherd, and Dame, with such as the Senate may join, be a committee to consider the petition of David Atwood and others praying for a 3-cent tax on each acre of land in Alexandria, and reported thereon, voted that a bill entitled An Act Restore hyphen, that's where she left off. Okay. Are we going to go over this? Oh, yeah, we got more to talk about here. We're not done by a long shot. Let me see if I can get this stuff in the right order. Okay. I succeeded. I'm proud of myself. Good boy. Okay. I want to save my nation, save my people, awaken my brothers and sisters in Israel, and I want to restore the Jeffersonian Republic. And that's not to say Jefferson wasn't full of foibles and didn't make some mistakes. I can correct Jefferson. Oh, yes, I can. But let's talk about how we got screwed up a little bit more. According to Eustace Mullins, the 13th Amendment was ignored on March 4th of 1813 when they sat the new Congress. They sat the Bar Association members in Congress March 4th, which was Inauguration Day, 1813. That's how we lost this, and it's been buried quite a bit. That's how we lost the Republic. The Bar Association attorneys took it away from us. Now, I could go into other details, but I think this is the most important thing you need to know. However, you need to know this. According to Eustace Mullins, and Eustace Mullins was an intake clerk in the Library of Congress, where he actually spent so much time there that he had a cot. He slept there as well, and he was actually, when he was fired, the FBI escorted him from the premises. So he was fired from his job. He was getting in manuscripts that never reached the shelves. They were that censored and that oppressed. He was reading books that you and I don't even know, will never know existed. Very, very important. So, Eustace Mullins documents quite clearly that the 14th and 15th Amendments were not voted on by the South. The South had no representation. It was occupied, and the senators and congressmen were appointed by the North. The people did not get to vote. Therefore, those are null and void. They were not, the South wasn't represented. They weren't properly ratified. So the 14th and 15th dropped by the wayside because of that. And by the way, they've altered the 14th because it was so embarrassing to them. They had to get rid of the racism in there and try to, they've altered it a bit. The 16th Amendment, which, you know, gave us an income tax. The interesting thing about it, according to Eustace Mullins, and also according to the fellow who wrote Fruit from a Poisonous Tree, the attorney wrote this book, he said that it never was even voted on. It was never voted upon. It's not legal. What happened was the acting Secretary of the Treasury, he wasn't even the full treasurer, Secretary of the Treasury, and one other fellow, and I don't remember the position, but this is from the blue-covered book. Blue is the color of poison in nature. Blue is the color of the Roman police togas. Blue used to be the color of our police uniforms. Yeah, I'd change that too. I go back to requiring them to wear blue. Nice, bright, brilliant blue. None of this navy blue shit. No more black stuff. Except I would allow that for the SWAT teams. But this camo stuff, I don't think they should be doing it. I mean, that's military. They shouldn't be doing that in the sheriff's department. The militia, sure. Okay. The 16th Amendment was only announced as having been ratified by these people in office. It was never voted upon. And also, it was so illegal what they did to us. It was so illegal that they actually started the IRS in the Philippines, which was, I believe, our territory at the time. And they have since relocated that to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is an island that is dying. It doesn't have a very good future. It's an ecological thing, and I don't think anything can be done to save it. But anyway, it's now located in Puerto Rico, and if you look up your master slave file, you will find that you are domiciled in one of the territories because it's not legal for them to do what they did with Social Insurance, which became Social Security. It wasn't legal for them to do that to landed citizens. It's still not constitutional, still not lawful and legal. They pulled a big fraudulent scheme, so I'm not attacking Social Security. I'm attacking FDR and his crew that foisted that off upon us and stole it all. That helped them steal everything. But let me stick to the subject. Your 17th Amendment, providing for the direct election of senators, is unconstitutional. Flat out unconstitutional. Why? Because the states have no more representation, and the states were parties of the Constitution. They were the signatories. They authorized it. The states have no more representation. It's not a republic when they do that. And Congress and the Senate, according to my buddy who had an older friend who helped him quite a bit, and of course we're old men at this point in time, but that was probably back when we were in our 30s, 40s, and I almost remember his name. Anyway, I can find it out, no problem, but I better find it out and give that to you. It might be a resource worth looking at. Anyway, the Congress was only getting a simple per diem, and they're corrupt sons of a bitches, and they wanted to be able to get paid. They wanted a salary. And the senators were sent from their state legislatures. The state legislatures actually argued among themselves and voted for the two state senators, the two senators coming from the states to represent the state government in D.C. It gets confusing, and I'm trying to watch my wording, and I'm trying to explain it really adequately. So basically, they were subject to being instantly fired by the legislators back home in the state legislature. So there would have been no Mavericks, no John McCain's, no Mitt Romney's, that jackass in South Carolina, the guy that's lighting his whatever, Lindsey Graham. I do have to hand it to Lindsey Graham for being a gay man. He has been very, very, he's been very discreet, and I admire that of him. I don't knock him for his lifestyle. You know, I don't agree with it, but it's like, I don't have all the answers on that stuff, just so that you know. And I can cover that sometime if you request it. Anyway, the senators wanted to become permanent politicians. And so they wanted to be able to be elected by the people so they couldn't be fired. Because that's how the safeguard existed. If that senator voted the wrong way, because remember, they're representing all those legislators back home in their state legislature, and their governor, and and the people too. But if he voted the wrong way on a bill, they would call his ass back from D.C. Hey, come home, take the seat to which you were elected in the state legislature, and finish your term off. But you're not going to be in Washington, D.C. anymore. So they made a deal. And the deal was the senators wanted direct election, and the congressmen wanted to get paid. Corrupt sons of a bitches. What a hell of a backroom deal. That undermined us so badly. So, congressmen were getting a simple per diem to defray the costs of room and lodging for the day of service to the country. And they did get a franking privilege, which meant that they could sign themselves personally the envelopes, and they didn't have to put postage on it. If I'm wrong, please correct me. So they made that deal. And I think that when we go back to the original structure, I think we need to change things. I think we need to go back to the per diem for congressmen. But the change would be you have to be present for the entire day, for the entire session, and you cannot miss a vote. You cannot pass your vote on, have somebody else do it for you. You have to be healthy enough to be there. If you're not healthy enough to be there, then go home. Because it was considered a volunteer position. You gave your service to your country. And you were expected to come from the managerial class of people who owned businesses and were successful and knew how to manage a purse, knew how to manage a budget, because they're the ones that are responsible for the purse strings of the country. And so they were expected only to serve a term or two. There were no term limits. They weren't necessary. But I think we need to go a step further, and we need to tell them, you can't vote present. You can't abstain. If you abstain, then you lose your per diem for the day. And we could set the per diem at $300 a day, because for $300 you should be able to get a cot and 3 hots in a cot, just like they say in prison. So he needs to have just bare minimum. He can pay the rest himself. I mean, it's just to defray. It's not to compensate fully. And I think we need to go with that. Kind of like this medical copays. They stick us with this stuff they claim is insurance. It's actually just dictated benefits. It's not insurance at all. I think that we need to also do one more thing. They should not be paid from the federal government, by the federal government, from the Treasury. They should be paid, the senators coming from the state legislatures, they should be paid out of their state treasuries. The states should pay the salary and the benefits each individual state deems appropriate for their senators. That way, and hopefully the requirement goes as far as to state that the governor and the treasurer will sign their checks. Because if one of those two doesn't like what they're doing, they don't sign the check. So that's how we improve it. So that goes back to the original structure with an improvement. And we're not going to be able to agree on everything. So we at least need to agree to go right back to the old structure. All other amendments, all subsequent amendments are out of order. Hence, they are null and void. So if we can go back to the 13th Amendment, restore our militias, the state militias, the public militias, the private militias, if we can go back to that, then I think that we can assert self-rule. Anyway, I beg you to give me a thumbs up and share this video. This is my life insurance policy. This has to be gotten out there because I basically put a target on my back by sending this into the, we live in the beast system. This is Mystery Babylon. And it's not just the United Stupid States of America. It's the whole world at this point. They've got worldwide dominion and rule. They've had it for a while. They've been running America and using our military and using all of the media and using all of the intelligence agencies to harm us all and to line their pockets, because the United States of America is a criminal organization. It is extremely highly organized crime at this point. It goes against the laws of Yahweh, Creator, Father, God, and we go against our own Constitution. I'm getting a little distortion in my left ear from overdriving this, and I hope that's not coming through. I appreciate the feedback I got recently.